Our next session revolves around silver in industrial application. The moderator of this session is Mr. Ankur Goyal, MMTC PAMP India Private Limited. Joining him on the stage are Dr. Trevor Keel of the Silver Institute, Mr. Murli Nikam of Modison Limited, and Dr. Shiwani Pareek of Adani Solar. As our guests walk up to the stage, I will briefly read up on their profiles just to bring you a little up to date about their illustrious backgrounds. Mr. Ankur Goyal, of course, needs no introduction. We started the day with his august presence on the podium. As the President Works of MMTC PAMP India Limited, Mr. Ankur Goyal is an integral part of India's leading and internationally accredited precious metals refinery. And with his deep operational expertise and a commitment to excellence, Mr. Goyal oversees end-to-end refining and production processes, also playing a crucial role in maintaining world-class standards in quality, safety and sustainability, ensuring MMTC PAMP remains at the forefront of responsible precious metals manufacturing in India and beyond. Dr. Trevor Keel is an internationally recognized consultant affiliated with the Silver Institute, where he focuses on promoting silver's diverse industrial applications, particularly in green technologies. With a PhD in material science, Dr. Keel has worked extensively across the precious metals sector, advancing awareness about silver's role in antimicrobial solutions, photovoltaics, and sustainable technology. His research and advocacy support the broader spectrum and adoption of application of silver in emerging global sectors. Mr. Murli Nikam is the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO of Modison Limited, and a pioneer in manufacturing electrical contacts and silver-based components for industrial applications. Under his leadership, Modison has expanded its presence in critical infrastructure sectors such as power, railways, renewable energy, and Mr. Nikam brings strategic direction, operational excellence, and innovation-driven growth to the company. Our only panelist, our only lady panelist of the entire conference thus far, Dr. Shiwani Pareek, is the Manager Technology for Adani Solar, where she leads technological advancements in solar cell development with a strong foundation in material science and a focus on high-efficiency photovoltaic technologies. Dr. Pareek's work emphasizes silver's role in solar manufacturing, and her contributions support Adani's mission to enhance solar output while promoting sustainable, cutting-edge energy solutions made in India. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave this session in the hands of Mr. Ankur Goyal.
So I welcome all the distinguished panelists, Dr. Trevor, Mr. Murli, and Dr. Shiwani. And I think we are also honored to have all the 4 LBMA accredited entities here in this room. We have Hindustan Platinum, we have the Hindustan Zinc, we have HP, and we have MMTC PAMP. So I think we would also request more entities, more refiners who could really work out LBMA accreditation so that India can move forward. With this, let me give a short, before I call each of the members here to give a short presentation. As I said in the morning, India, the overall import or overall requirement demand of silver in the world is almost 38,000 tons annually. And India imports almost 7,000, where the major goes into the jewelry sector, followed by the silver coins and investment portfolio. There is a little less on the industrial sector, but I think that is going to be a big thing, and we'll hear from Shiwani how solar is going to be, and that's the dream of our Prime Minister also, Mr. Modi, for the, as far as I know, and she can tell better, India would like to go for 30 gigawatts of solar power in near future. And also I touched upon the various areas where in the industrial sectors, other than the jewelry and investment, the other sectors where silver is being used widely is the electronics, the cars, the solar panels, the medicines, the water purifier, photography, even cloud seeding. And we would like to hear from Dr. Trevor more on the antibacterial activity of silver. So with this, I would like, also as you all know, and I was just looking at the prices of silver, we'll also touch a bit on how, what are the prices of silver and what's the volatility. And in way back in 2020, it was almost around $20 to $24 per ounce, which today is almost around $33, $34 per ounce. So with this, I hand over the mic to Dr. Trevor.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. It's our third time in joining you at the Indian Silver Conference. I just wanted to quickly thank Vatsa and his team as well, actually, for putting together this conference. It's an excellent event, and it's a pleasure to be up on the stage speaking in front of such a sort of a well-educated and enthusiastic crowd, as it were. So thank you all for coming. So I thought I'd kind of set the scene a little bit from my perspective as technical director of the Silver Institute. And I'd like to reiterate a point that Phil made actually this morning during his presentation. We've obviously just released the Silver Survey, and the guys at Metals Focus have done a fantastic job of that. You've all got a copy. Please take a look at it. It's full of really interesting, really useful information, particularly about the industrial sector and about some of the subtleties of industrial demand. The guys at Metals Focus do a really good job of bringing that information to life and kind of presenting it in a very digestible manner. So I encourage you all to really take a look at that. But I mean, look, 2024 was a really good year for silver and demand in the industrial sector. I think we reached, 680 million ounces went into industrial applications. That's getting towards 60% of all demand going into industrial applications. You know, that's really significant. And I think it was Ian, I don't know if Ian's here, but I think it was Ian last night who talked a little bit about silver being such an unusual, such a unique metal. It's an industrial metal in some respects, but it's also a precious metal in some respects. And I thought the way he kind of couched that and phrased that was very interesting and very accurate. So it's an important industrial metal. It's used in so many of the things we rely on a day-to-day basis. And last year was a very, very strong year for demand. So that's great. But it was interesting that growth and that strength in demand in industry was sort of built on the back of rising prices. Now, I'm guessing 90% of you in the crowd are all delighted seeing the increasing prices of silver. I think last year, maybe it went up about 20% over the entire year. That's great. However, for some industrial players, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because, you know, we've got Shiwani here who will talk about the PV sector in much more detail than me, but if you take a solar cell manufacturer, for example, they might be using 1 million ounces a quarter, 1 million ounces every month, potentially, some of the bigger players. You know, seeing a 20% rise over the course of 12 months is significant, and it makes them consider about how they use their materials and the costs associated with those materials. And again, Phil, this morning, I think very accurately mentioned, you know, that sort of price rise will drive manufacturers to look at alternative materials, will drive manufacturers to thrift where they can. And I think as an industry, as a crowd of people who are interested in silver, that's a really, really important thing to keep in the back of our minds. You know, the double-edged nature of price rises for industrial uses. You know, the gold industry, I do some work for the gold industry as well. The gold industry have seen that very starkly with the gold bonding wire market over the last 15 years. 15 years ago, pretty much all gold bonding wire was gold. Now, that is definitely not the case. So I think it's something to keep in the back of our minds and to consider. But I mean, having said all of that, is silver going to suddenly disappear from our vehicles, from our solar cells, from our mobile phones? Absolutely, it is not. It is not, because it's a unique metal. It has properties that, frankly, make it unique. There is no other metal like it, and it is a material that is absolutely relied on by all of those industries. But I think it's important to keep the consideration of price in the back of our minds when we think about gold as silver as an industrial metal. I think the only last thing I wanted to sort of say in setting the scene from our perspective, and Mr. Goyal kind of mentioned it in passing, was the strength of R&D for silver. You know, we're fortunate in having a metal with all these amazing properties, but we also have an amazing array of researchers around the world who are utilizing silver in lots of different ways, identifying new uses for the metal, seeing places where silver can have an impact. You know, a few examples of those would be, and I think we're going to hear some more examples later, in the chemical industry as a catalyst. We all know silver is a very good and efficient chemical catalyst. It can be used as a coating, a novel coating, for its antimicrobial, antibacterial properties, and a swathe of other uses. And that's really, really encouraging for the future of silver as an industrial material. You know, that isn't going to suddenly create a 100 million ounce offtake overnight. Of course it won't. But it does continue to build silver's role within our community, within our society. And I think that's an important point to consider and point to as we move forward. So just a few thoughts from me to set things going. Like I say, I really appreciate being here. Thank you all for being in the audience as well. And I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And today I'm going to talk about the silver-based scenario for our country in terms of the ecosystem, drivers, and growth prospects. So I'm Shiwani. I work in Adani Solar. I'm in Cell Technology Department working as a lead technology in metallization cluster. So I'll start first with the company introduction. So as you can see here, this is the picture of Mundra Electronic Manufacturing Cluster, where we make completely vertically integrated solutions for solar power generation, starting from making our own ingots and wafer, and then turning it into solar cell, and then modules. We have 2 gigawatt of PERC fabrication facility, 2 gigawatt of N-type TOPCon fabrication facility, and a 4 gigawatt of module fabrication facility. Our company is well equipped with all in-house long-term product reliability tests which are required to give the warranty of 30 to 35 years once the panel is made. And we have all kinds of certifications. Of course, we are in the list of ALMM category and top supplier for the recent PM Surya Ghar Yojana. When I talk about fully integrated, this is what I mean, that all the production required ancillaries to make the module, whether it's encapsulants, whether it's aluminum frames, whether it is back sheets, everything we make under one roof. And these are the pictures for that. And till now, as I mentioned, we are at 4 gigawatt of production facility. But soon we are in expansion phase for more 6.8 gigawatt is going to add. By 2026, will be 10 plus gigawatt of production facility. Yeah, so a little background revision would be better. Technical knowledge that is required to understand the silver paste. So as you see, silver metal in form of a paste is applied using screen printer on a blue wafer. Then the wafer turns into cell, and this process is called metallization. It is required to fetch the electrons which gets generated into silicon, and you fetch it and then you can transport it to the outer circuit. So that is the final process of solar cell making, and that is called metallization. And you see in the bottom image, I mentioned there are two types of silver paste. One is for bus bar and one is for finger. So you see the vertical thick lines, these are called bus bars, and the parallel thin lines are fingers. Fingers are used for contact formation, and bus bars are used to make contact between two cells when we make module, and the current flows through bus bars. And the first picture is a depiction how silver paste looks. And here I am showing the main typical composition of a silver paste required for finger paste. So that is, of course, the silver metal powder. That is the 90 to 92% solid content is silver metal powder. It works as a conducting filler, which is required for contact making. Then comes the glass frit. It acts as two major contributions are there for glass frit. One is it gives the physical adhesion. That means inorganic adhesion, so that the paste is stuck to the wafer and doesn't move around, or we can say smear. And second thing is, it's there only in 1 to 2%, but it acts during the metallization process. The silicon makes contact with silver only because of glass, because it removes the underneath inorganic layer of ARC layer, which is called anti-reflective coating, and that gets removed, and then only silver makes contact with silicon. The third one is, of course, the organic mixture, which is used to make it a paste-like consistency, so that it can pass through screens during screen printing, and it gets deposited on the wafer. Yeah, so first we need to understand all different kinds of crystalline silicon photovoltaic products which are available, and what kind of pastes are used for that. So one is, it has been divided into two categories. First is high temperature firing process and the low temperature process silver paste. For high temperature, there are two architectures. One is P-type, which is PERC, and N-type is TOPCon. So what is happening? In PERC architecture, there are three kinds of silver pastes are used. One is for, as I explained, finger, one is for bus bars, and at the rear side, tabbing paste it is called. It is a mixture of silver and aluminum that is used for, that is the one which makes it solderable during module making. For TOPCon architecture, there are four types of silver paste. So front and rear, both sides we are putting front bus bar, rear bus bar, and fingers both sides. So in terms of silver consumption, TOPCon architecture uses 1.5 to 2 times more than PERC. And when we come to the lower temperature architectures, which are called heterojunction and the upcoming silicon perovskite cells, there the consumption becomes even double. And so here I am showing what kind of silver powder is useful in these different kinds of silver paste. So for high temperature architecture, the requirement is spherical silver. And for low temperature architecture, the requirement silver flakes. So these SEM images I have shown here. Okay, and the thing most important is what kind of architecture we are using. That is the key factor which decides the consumption of paste and what kind of paste we are going to use, and the powder that is so unique for each architecture in terms of size, morphology, crystallinity, and its particle size distribution even in one single paste. So this is, here I am showing the market forecast worldwide for crystalline silicon PV technologies. So this is the study from ITR PV, International Technology Roadmap for Photovoltaic, and what it says, till 2027, TOPCon is going to be most prevalent technology, then comes a little decline in that. Currently, which we are thinking the PERC, it is going to be obsolete now. Only less than 18% is there for PERC production. TOPCon is more than 68%, remaining is silicon heterojunction and other thin film technologies. So these changing technology trends, this is most useful in terms of determining the silver consumption and type of paste required for industrial solar applications. Here what I am showing is per wafer, the amount of paste which is required to make contacts and what it turns into large scale. So for M10 is the wafer size. It's called wafer size, which is 182 mm cross 182 mm silicon wafer. And for that, the P-type PERC technology uses 70 mg per cell, or we can say 9 mg per watt. For TOPCon, it's 111 mg per cell. For silicon heterojunction, it's even higher. And the main technology part here is that all PV scientists are trying to reduce the silver consumption. So that is our own target here. And if you can see in the market trend, from this graph is from Taiyang News, which says that from 2022 to 2024, there is a 64% of jump of industrial silver applications. So it's kind of remarkable here to see that. And if we think about the solar power generation, the forecast says that by 2030, there's going to be annually 1 terawatt of solar power generation. And with rough calculation, we can say that it's going to use 15,000 tons of silver paste per year, which is going to be 85 to 98% of current global silver reserves. And that will be utilized by 2050. So this is the high time for solar PV scientists to minimize the silver consumption, but that is not going to, I mean, it's still in research phase, so silver is not going to phase out any soon. Here, I'm talking about the perspective for India. As you can see, currently, with all the announcements that are there in public, we can say in 2025, we are at 17 gigawatt for PERC and TOPCon. This is the cell production I'm talking about. And it's going to get accelerated, and within 3 to 4 years, we are going to make 90 gigawatt of PERC, TOPCon, heterojunction, thin film, all different kinds of solar cells. And as I've shown in previous slide, that PERC is going to get obsolete, but that is not the case for our country. Even the big players are still having faith in PERC, so PERC is going to be there for our country. TOPCon is, of course, having higher shares. And if we say that current paste consumption is approximately 200 tons per year, it's going to get increased to 10 times multifold. It's going to be there. And in 3 to 4 years, the thing is we are going to have enough energy which can cater for our solar PV domestic requirement, and after that, we'll be at the stage of exporting it. So that is the target. If we talk about the ecosystem drivers and growth prospect, so currently in solar power generation, we are, so of course if we say the first place is of course of China, and in Southeast Asia, India is the one which everybody has higher hopes with. So currently we are at the domestic capacity, at the position where we are just working for capacity increase. We are working to strengthen our supply chain, and we are at the stage where we want to bring down our production cost at par with the baseline. After that, when we are moving towards the higher scale production, so that is the place where we'll be well established with supply chain. We have to be in the business, and we have to maintain the levelized cost of electricity. And that can only happen when there is a innovation and technological advancements. And after that, we should focus on export. So this picture in the background is from Adani's world largest renewable energy plant, which is there in Gujarat. It's of approximately capacity of 30 gigawatt. For the drivers and growth perspective, I've made this stakeholder analysis. So as you can see, the x-axis is for influence of stakeholders, and then comes the interest of stakeholders. So it's not essential that whoever has the interest has the influence. So as you can see in the first quadrant, at the present situation where we have a limited solar power generation capacity and our supply chain is not that strengthened, we have issues with IP production, and so silver paste import is the only option we have right now. What is our goal? Is to direct everything towards the first quadrant, or at least till the second quadrant here. So government policies and policy making, etc., everything is there. But all the cell manufacturers, the large-scale cell manufacturers, the companies which have the capability to make powders, everything has to direct towards this first quadrant. Then only we'll have the strengthened supply chain in this case, which is cost-effective and enough for our consumption. Other than the silver paste for solar PV, I just mentioned few more categories where silver paste is used in other industries, like that is also silver paste but not of solar grade. So these are like flexible electronics, the anti-fogging paste which we use in vehicles, the conducting adhesives, etc. I think in next talk we are going to hear more about that. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shiwani.
Good afternoon. So, most of the, actually, I am very happy that most of the topics are covered during my presentation. I have made very simple presentation because there are two doctors. I'm not doctor. So I have made, and because of after lunch, you know, we should not have a heavy dose. So I have made very, very simple slides. Basically, I am going to talk about the silver demand, particularly from electrical contacts and silver salt. Majorly, I will be talking on electrical contacts. I'll just have just brief about the introduction, then the product portfolio of Modison, then opportunities of silver contacts and growth factors and related challenges. Modison is only the company where we make high voltage, medium voltage and low voltage electrical contacts. We had collaboration from Doduco, this is the German company. Our lab is enable accredited and we have strong presence globally. We have core values that we always take care, we always continuously taking care of the culture of we taking care of the people while expectations of the stakeholders and environmental and societies are met. So you name the countries and our presence is there. So our presence is there in almost 23 plus countries. And GL Modi, who is the founder and founder of the company actually, and he is the first person who make 999 silver in India. And he is also pioneer in electrical contacts. If you look at it, our product portfolio, you'll see that the type of contacts which we are manufacturing, that is silver nickel, silver cadmium, silver graphite, silver tungsten, silver tin oxide, then top lays, then overlays, then button contacts. So you name the product in electrical contacts and we are there in the silver domain. Then medium voltage, we are there for copper, chromium and all, which is not interest to this audience. If you see the product range, particularly we are into the granules, we make the strip, we make the anodes, we make the electrical contacts of which I have already mentioned the list. Then we also make the braze assemblies, then bimetal rivets. We are doing the bullion also and some cutlery, some business. We have all the processes and systems are in place where I already said that we have got a lab which is enable accredited. These are the most of the numbers which we are hearing since last 2 days. It is actually thanks to Metal Focus and Silver Institute. They are the people actually we have taken the numbers from them. And actually this report was published very lately. I was behind them and I'm sure that most of the people were behind them. भाई आपका report कभी आएगा करके, क्योंकि numbers जो है most of the silver numbers, silver consumption or silver demands are actually the reference book is Silver Institute and which is the report is made by Metal Focus. So out of 58% means the industrial demand is around 58%, which is this again data is of 2024. But these are the only typical things, you know, the plus minus 2 or 3% here and there. But then these numbers are actually more or less same. 58% of the total silver demand is coming from the industrial need. Out of that, industrial 58%, that is 22,000 tons. So 36 actually percent is coming from the electrical and electronics business. And then photovoltaic is the number 2. Number 3 is brazing alloys and other industrial applications. 7% is for the brazing alloys. Surprisingly, when I was studying these numbers, so there when I was trying to compare the Indian numbers, so Indian numbers are just 10% of the actually total consumption is coming from electrical and electronics. So there is a need that we also have to relook at it, and then where is the gap of 36% versus 10% in India that we also have to look into it. So there is a continuous demand for the silver for the industrial application. And generally in silver we always talk about tonnage or kgs and all this. Generally billion US dollar language is the wrong language actually. But still because this electrical contacts, actually, this consists of copper and also platinum and other alloys. So this is projected that by 2032, the market will projected at 8.02 billion US dollar. It depends on the, again, rate of the silver, what will be rate of the silver at that time. So this is a variable figure. Advantage of the silver contacts actually, because of silver, that good electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity is best for the silver. Silver has a very strong arcing resistance. Silver has a very strong oxidation resistance. And these are the properties by which actually silver contacts actually, the contacts are made from the silver. And if you look at the alloys, there are multiple alloys. And that multiple alloys, again, if you say that silver cadmium oxide or silver tin oxide, silver nickel alloys, silver tungsten alloys, then silver copper alloys. So for different applications, different alloys are used. And every family has 4 or 5 varieties. So if you talk about silver cadmium, again, there will be 85-10, 90-10. So there are different compositions and for the different properties. Typical applications that is automotive, electronics and electrical industry, the aerospace industry, defense, and renewable energy actually, which is very upcoming market for the silver contacts, and telecommunication. Typically, most of these low voltage contacts actually, if you re-look at it, these relays, circuit breakers, where MCB, MCCBs, RCCBs, then contactors, battery manufacturing, like battery management system has strong requirement of the electrical contacts, then thermostat, push button switches. These are the typical few applications I have put for the electrical contacts. Growth factors for the silver contacts actually is major sector is coming with the electrical vehicles. Then the number one is the renewable, solar power, which Dr. Shiwani has already talked about. Second sector is the electrical vehicle, where we are talking about something 1.4 crore car in India by 2030. Then the smart appliances and smartphones, like we are seeing that artificial intelligence is coming. So artificial intelligence also requires the smart gadgets, and there is a continuous demand for the smart gadgets. So AI technologies, energy efficient devices, where we are expecting to reduce the energy losses. Industrial automation, actually a lot of automation is coming in industry, so industrial automation requires good amount of contacts. Electrification, where there is a heavy power demand in India, so there the contacts will be used. The smart cities, these are the growth drivers for the silver contacts. And then challenges, from yesterday we are talking about silver price volatility, then the growing environmental regulations, like cadmium usage is actually banned in Europe, but thanks that in USA at least cadmium products are still getting used. But slowly we are replacing that cadmium products with this silver tin oxide products. Market demands very cost-effective products. Believe me, means every quarter I visit customers. Generally customers, when I visit, the people will talk about generally delivery problems or quality issue. But during this quarter, when I visited, every customer was talking about only price. They said that we don't love the silver. You give the replacement, any replacement to the silver, we are okay with that. But please reduce the prices. I was talking to Kishore Bhai during the conference. He was also saying the same thing, that people are asking some 25% discount, 20% discount. And this price volatility, yesterday we were talking about, when you are doing some competition, Srivatsa has done some competition for the silver rate yesterday, and people were talking about $37 per ounce, and where we are worried what will happen to us. The issue is that we cannot, when we go to the customers, the switchgear particularly market is very, very cost competitive market, and customers are not paying cost to them. And they are expecting that, this cost has to, we have to do some R&D. Goyal, we have to do some R&D. They were saying that, you are also from the same industry. So they were saying that 90-10 ka kuch 75-25 kar sakte hai kya? 75-25 kar sakte hai, but then, it requires a lot of R&D. And this particular silver contact market, our technology is very, very critical technology. where we are talking about, output. You wanted mechanical properties, you wanted hardness, you wanted tensile strength, you wanted good microstructure. In microstructure also, you required a particle size, very fine particle size, again particle size, number of particles. So many things, so many things are required. So particularly electrical contact technology has, so many parameters, and just changing the composition will not suffice the purpose. Any new product which is developed for the contacts, it takes around 7 to 8 months. 6 months is the validation time, and thereafter actually it is getting introduced. So the development at our place will take closely to 2 to 3 months if the incremental product technology is required. And then again, customer testing, these switch gears are tested for type testing, and hence it takes time. And till yesterday or till last year, the customer were talking about only these ISO systems, and now the things are changing in the market. So people are also talking about sustainability. So EcoVadis, actually, people are expecting that we should have the valid score of the EcoVadis. And hence, these are the, of course, this is not challenging, but then it requires a lot of efforts to get the EcoVadis certification. Yeah, I already said that 1.6 crore EVs are expected by 2030, which is a driving factor. Solar energy already Dr. Shiwani has talked about. And these are the silver applications. You can see that around 15 to 20 applications are there. Each vehicle generally required 15 to 28 grams silver. Opportunities for the silver in EV, which I already explained. And in power sector, actually 450 gigawatt, actually power requirement is there by 2030. And RE, 280 gigawatt is expected from RE, that to solar standalone. So 690 gigawatt power requirement is required for the 2035. And there is a continuous demand. And global solar set, just wanted to tell you that there is a 9% growth, and is expected that by 2028, this market is expected to reach by $1.56 billion US. So there are again same challenges, same opportunities. So these are the references for Silver Institute, Metal Focus. These are the references for my presentations. And to avoid the accidents for the fire due to short circuit, use reliable contacts from the Modison. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Murli. So I think good to hear a bit of technology of solar and electrical contacts. We have been into solar electrical contacts, so I know what are the challenges which is being faced. So I have few questions. One for Dr. Trevor and Mr. Murli is, what do you see with the current trade war? Is it opening certain opportunities in the world for you, and for Mr. Murli, is it opening anything for the India with the trade war which is going on with Trump?
So what opportunities
With the trade war, is there any opportunities, or it's a cause of concern, as everybody is saying? Because you are exporting to so many countries, so if you could highlight.
You're talking about silver price increase?
Yeah, the silver price increase plus whatever you are exporting your electrical contacts to various countries. So is the current trade war which is going with US has any effect, or is it an opportunity for you?
The opportunity, like I said, that this particular EV or solar, of course, we are not there in the solar except the contacts which are required for, solar, the electronics part of the solar. This particularly in the Indian market, it is going to be very tough in the particular switchgear market where we are operating. As the customers we are the common people, it is required, this particular low voltage switch gears are required at our home.
Yeah.
And nobody would like to pay extra rupee for this switch gear application. And that is how, you can understand, and most of the contact manufacturing people will also agree with me. People are holding the orders with them. They are not releasing. They say, "Kani thoda price niche aane do, baad mein order release karenge."
Sure.
And that is how it is happening. And you will not believe, in one of the customers has hold the orders for around 20 to 25,000, 25 days. So with this, but in spite of that, this because power demand and is there. So I expect that even with these prices, of course, the growth. If we are expecting 8 to 10% growth, it may be 6 to 7% growth. Growth will get reduced, but the opportunity will be always there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dr. Trevor, anything for the with the price rise or with the Trump this thing? Anything you see changing for silver? Because gold, I know, has been really volatile, has been changing almost $200 in a day. Though silver is not that. What is your view on that?
Yeah, I think it's still sort of a bit up in the air. Things are changing all the time, which makes it difficult to kind of comment exactly what's happening. I mean, there are always opportunities, but Mr. Trump seems to be quite random in some of his comments and his actions. So I think at the moment, and I think the guys at Metals Focus have struggled a little bit as well with forward looking. For silver because of what's happening in the US. So I think in the coming months it will settle down and we'll have a better idea, but at the moment it feels very volatile. Yeah.
Well, sir, just wanted to add into this, as Trump has put the heavy duty on the China, and there are good opportunities which people are going to ship to India. Of course, India Plus is already, China Plus is already there. But because of China's heavy tariff, there are good opportunities for Indian contract manufacturing company.
Yeah, so I would like to also touch upon what Mr. Murli said on recycling sustainability. And I would like to point out in the recent IGBC conference, you would be surprised to know that Japan, and this is, I'm talking of gold, not silver, Japan has only 4 tons of gold production, but it exports 200 tons of gold out of its country. The reason is they are going into a very high recycling. They are importing a lot of low-grade waste of gold, which they are refining and going out. So where do you see recycling? Because definitely if 38,000 tons of silver is being used, the recycled, and in India if 8,000 is being used, but the recycled is only coming to 400, 500. What do you see? Will this increase as we go along in years to come?
Yeah, when I was also reading the report yesterday, only 500 tons of silver is being recycled. Fortunately, we have got a good refinery. We do recycling of our own scrap into our plant. Whatever scrap is generated, and that is one way I actually look at it to survive the silver contact business against the against the prices rise. That because of recyclability, we are able to sustain our product or prices. So looking at this, there is a big market for the recycling. I see that in future, more and because not only because of EcoVadis, but then at the same time the awareness which is getting generated across the globe for the recyclability. So I'm sure that there are many. Just during lunchtime, I was not aware about 2-3 actually refining people I met, a small refinery. So. Of course, the small drop of recycle, they will also make one time the ocean. So I'm seeing that lot of opportunity for the recyclability and the refining of silver in India.
Yeah, Dr. Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be quite soon a lot of the sort of original solar cells that are going to be coming, at their end of life. So there is going to be an opportunity there for that silver to be recovered. And obviously silver, in those early silver cells, there was a lot of silver in those cells. But there is a challenge. It's challenging to recover. It's challenging to recover in a commercial manner. And there are a couple of companies that we've heard of that are starting to sort of ramp up their efforts in actually creating processes to pull those cells apart and actually recover the silver. But it's not easy. And obviously some silver is recovered alongside other precious metals from particularly the large European recovery companies like Umicore, for example. So some is recovered, but there is a lot more to do for sure.
Shiwani, similar on recycling, first thing is, what is the life of the solar panels, and what do you see once, because we talked that into 2028 there will be 2,000 tons of silver which will be used. So if, what kind of life and how much would come back as recycling?
Yes, sir. So about that, whatever we have scraped right now, so that is, if the first generation of panels were deployed maybe 30 years back, so those panels are going to be flooded now and they are ready to be, recycled and extracting all the precious, whether it is silver, silicon, even the glass part, all these things are there to be extracted. And that is going to be increased in multifolds as soon as the production or deployment of new panels are going to be there. So, and I've read this study which says that from one panel we can actually extract around 100 mgs of silver, 100 grams of silver. Okay. And there are so many startups working in this direction. Even in India also small startups are there. Mostly are there in Europe, and there are groups in UNSW, Australia, which are working for mostly for extracting silver, and the glass can also be used again by melting it and putting it again in the supply chain, and also the silicon part. But the most important thing is about the purity, because silver is going to be mixed with glass and other impurities. So that is, we have to find another way either to purify it or use it in another applications.
Yeah. It would make a lot of sense if you could do that locally. You know, you mentioned there are Indian companies who are starting to look at this, and rather than being, having spent panels shipping around the world, which seems crazy, if it can be done on a country-by-country basis, so hopefully that will become the case.
And actually putting the dumping duty, that is going to accelerate this part, because whoever is the manufacturer, they have to take care of their product after it scrapes out. So that is one thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one question to you is, so you mentioned about silver paste. So we wanted to know whether, are you manufacturing silver paste? Because what I heard is there are only few companies in China who are really, or in Japan, who are making the silver powder used for silver paste. So where do you see India in that technology?
At present, we don't have that kind of ecosystem right now, as I mentioned, because of the scale it requires, if we do the cost-benefit analysis, so it is not that fruitful at this scale. As we move in next couple of years, it makes a more viable business case. But currently we are, of course, dependent on China, and other countries are there for silver powder, and Chinese are the best at scaling it up. Like, they have 1,000 tons of capacity of paste production. So to compete with that, we have to increase our capability.
Sure. I think I would like to end with this note because definitely there is a huge opportunity in India also where I think we are lacking in the technology of the silver powder production, and we are importing it from either Japan or China, which is there. So, and we Indians have been there everywhere. So why can't we work out a consortium, and here all the refiners are there, good enough to produce 49 silver. I do understand the silver powder has a certain characteristics, but if we can really work out a consortium which can take up these new projects, and we can team up together to build this industry, I think this would be a very good give back to the industry if India can beat China in terms of powder production. Yeah, thank you. Any questions, anybody? We can.
Mr. Murli, Nikam, this is for you basically, for the impact of tariffs on the exports of silver contracts or the industrial products to the United States. There was a question, what will be the impact like? So now I think 26% is the duty. So you must have been impacted by this duty impact. So is it possible from your buyers in USA to find out if they export silver to you, and you convert that into silver contracts and export back to them, and you just invoice only for the job work you have done, that is for the value addition you have created, and you then export duty, from their point of view, their import duty will be levied to the extent of your job work at least. So duty will not be levied to the extent of the silver contact, which is neutral to the tariff. So what is your view on that? Whether your buyers will be receptive to this for sending silver to India?
Of course, it is very strategic question. Maybe our directors will able to talk on this subject. But surely, this is also a model we may like to explore in the future. That we work on we take the silver and then we convert into the contacts. So we can think of this.
Advanced metal.
You're calling
for
it as a
basis.
job work.
Job work. So you can, take it from your buyer on job work basis and convert that into the value-added product and export it.
Yeah. This is what I said that we need to think on this, how to do this, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of opportunities for this also.
Correct.
So, so far we have not thought about it, but then we can think of this.
Only thing is, I want to know whether your buyer will be receptive to this for sending the silver to you.
Generally, if the companies are big, if there is a huge requirement, then only this is possible. Otherwise, for smaller customers, that may be quite difficult. But then this is a model which we need to explore.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with this we conclude the session. Thank you so much, Ankur Goyal, sir.